Something that I come across a lot when doing readings is when, especially when people are in relationships or they're having a problem with somebody else in their family or a friend, is this person doesn't understand how this person's thinking. Because I've spoken about this before, you create a perception of who you are based on your life experiences. So it molds you, So whatever you've been through, you've learnt to adapt in a certain way to feed your own ego, to feed your own needs. And that becomes your truth. That's how you know how to do things. And somebody else has been through a totally different experience and they perceive things differently. And you can find this with, let's say you've got somebody over here who's a very anxious person and they need to know the answers, right? They can't just sit back and go, well, it could unfold, it might not unfold. They're controlling, right? They have to know the answer. And then over here, you might have somebody who's calm and balanced, and they don't need to have all the answers. They're a good person. They're a good friend. So this person will find this person. Um, and this person will start telling this person their problems, and this person listens and they offer advice, or they're just there so that somebody's got something to unload onto. Now, if this person here suddenly has something quite dramatic happening in their life, like suddenly they get some kind of cancer diagnosis, or they're having financial problems themselves, or something's going on that's quite stressful for this person, as somebody over here who's not somebody who talks a lot, they just listen. They're not someone to share their plans. So, or they need some space, right? So they decide, I need to take some space for myself. So they either put distance with this person or they tell this person, I just need some space for a while. The first thing that this person will do, because of the way that they're wired and the way they think, and they will suddenly go, what have I done? What have I done? Why they don't want to listen to me anymore? Why aren't they there for me? Why? They need to know. They have to know. And the more that it goes over and over in their head, the overthinking starts. And then they actually start pestering this person. So this person's like, really, I've got my own problems going on here. Can you just give me space? So the way this person's looking at it is just, I would have respect for you if you asked for space. So I want you to have respect for me. That's the way this person is thinking. This person's not wired like that. This person needs to know why. And even if this person said, look, I've got something going on with my health, I need space, this person still has some kind of feeling like they don't want me anymore. They're pushing me away, right? And the anxiety starts. Then if there's a bit of space that's gone past, 2 months have gone past or a couple of weeks have gone past, and they have had space, this one will reach out, right? This one's still dealing with their stuff and actually enjoying the peace and quiet. This one will reach out with a text or a phone call, like, how are you? Now, this is where this person starts thinking, hang on, if I reply, that might give them the wrong message that they can start dumping their problems on me again. But if I don't reply, then I feel guilty for being rude. Like, this is what goes on in their head. So it gets very, very tricky then, because, and then this person, if they hear back from them, they start to feel, okay, the line's still open. I can still get in there. I can still go back to how things were. But if this person does not answer and ignores them, then this person starts with the abandonment. I've been abandoned, I've been pushed aside, and it's in victim mode again. And it's just, we're just wired so differently. I think this person kind of understands more about this person than this person understands about that one. Because this person won't need to know what's going on with this person over here, but this person has to know. They have to have answers. And I get that in readings all the time when something happens, and you've got two very, very different personalities and very different perceptions, and they're wired differently. And some people just have to know and they can't let it go. And it's for their own protection. You know, they're trying to, because what the ego does is the ego goes around and round and round with thoughts trying to make a person feel better. And you find this if you've been in a confrontation with somebody, or you were out on the road and somebody cut you off and there was a bit of a road rage and they screamed at you and you came home and you were shaking and you were upset. Your ego will try to keep going over it and over it in your head to make it like, I wasn't at fault. They were at fault. I'm sure I did the right thing. Um, the ego is trying to calm things down. The ego is trying to give you rational answers. And in, and then when you go through spiritual awakenings, when you go through deep healing, you are more accountable for yourself. So instead of putting it onto the other person, you'll say, well, yeah, I was in the wrong too. They were in the wrong, but I was also in the wrong. That you see facts, you see things more factual without glossing it over like the ego likes to do. Because when you get so caught up in the emotions are controlling everything, not the logic, the emotions are controlling everything. The ego is constantly looking for a way to feel better about itself. Even when you get people like, you might have somebody who's immature with, they think something's funny, right? They have an immature mentality and they think something's funny and they actually enjoy throwing out the hook and line and catching somebody who's very sensitive, right? And it's weird how these people come together. They come together in relationships. And this person knows damn well that they're throwing a line out to hook this one because they know how sensitive they are. And this one gets hooked every time. They get hooked. When you've got a couple, let's say this person has a bit of an immature mindset and they think it's funny to say derogatory things because that gives them some sort of power. Let's say they say something like, they see a person dressed up and they'll go, oh, you're not going out in that, are you? Now, someone over this side who's wearing whatever they want to wear, who's very secure within themselves, who doesn't care what they think, will just say, yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm going out in this because this is what I want to wear. And it's forgotten about in seconds. The comment is totally forgotten about. This person who's trying to hook them or trying to make them feel something has no power whatsoever because this person just doesn't care. They're going out in that outfit. If you have a really, really sensitive person who's very, very concerned what other people think about them, they will stew with that. Like, why did they say that? Did they say that to make me feel like I'm stupid? Did they say that to make me feel like I don't know how to dress? Did they say that because they think everyone else is going to laugh at me? Like the overthinking goes on and on and on and on and on. And I see it so much in, or somebody will say, let's make plans to go out on Friday night. There's a couple that are dating. Let's make plans to go out on Friday night. And this person loves plans. They love plans. They love everything organized down to the wire because they need to know where I'm going to be, when I'm going to be, and who I'm going to be with. They need to know. And then this other person is a bit more spontaneous, right? So during the day on Friday, they plan to go out with this person on Friday night. But during the day, some other friends ring up and say, hey, do you want to go to this concert that's on tonight? And then they're like, oh, I'm supposed to go and meet this person. Yeah, but this is going to be so much better. And they convince their friend to go with them. So then this person contacts this person and says, oh, look, can't make it tonight. But rather than saying, I can't make it tonight because I've got a better offer, I'm going out with some friends that I'm going to have more fun with than I am with you, rather than saying the truth and hurting their feelings, they'll say, oh, something else has come up, my mum's sick, or sister's having a crisis, I've got to go and see a family member. They'll make up a story so that it's not so hurtful for this person. But then this person finds out that they went out. And then it becomes a lie. Why did they lie to me? This person, the one that loves to know everything, loves to have it all controlled. Why did they lie to me? And I guess I see it all the time until people go through some kind of spiritual awakening of themselves and they become very, very secure within themselves. So when you become secure in who you are, if something like that happens, you'll either openly talk about it or you just won't tolerate it. Say, look, I'm not going to date that person because they're not right for me. You know, if they can't, if I'm somebody that can openly communicate and they can't, then it's not going to work. And they see it very early on in the relationship. They see it and they're happy to just let it go. But somebody else who's really, really, really attached, they're living life purely from emotions, not from logical thinking. They'll stay in the relationship and they will think that they can make that other person change their mind. They think, if I keep working on this, I can get them to understand me and then they'll compromise and then they'll do things that I want to do. That's more the ego way of thinking. And I've spoken so much about the ego and the higher self. The higher self sees everything as is. It just as it is. There's no, I need to fix this, I need to work it out, I need to know why. It just is. It's the ego that does all that. I want to figure it out. I need to know why. Because the ego is trying to create an emotion that feels nice. So, and I tell people all the time, do EFT tapping, do journaling, do meditation, and they hear me and they don't do it. They don't do it, and then a year later, they're back with a new relationship and they're going through the same cycle all over again. And the same lessons will keep showing up and showing up and showing up until that person decides, maybe it's me. Maybe I need to just step away from everybody and do some healing on myself. Why do I keep pushing for things to happen and they keep crumbling? Because I'm not taking the time to work on myself. So, you know, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And I find that happens so much in this kind of work. As an outsider, you can see it clearly, but when you're living it, it can be so devastating to fight these emotions all the time and constantly trying to protect yourself. So, yeah, you're never going to know. You're never going to know or change. So you're never going to be able to change the way somebody else perceives. They've been through a totally different life experience than you. They see things differently. The whole concept is different. It's not going to change to be the same as you. The only thing that can change is that you can have two very different mindsets, but one respects the other one. Just says, I respect that you see things very differently to me, but we can still make it work. But if you can't get to that point of respecting the differences, it's never going to work.